Hello, my friends. I'm Jacob Nordby. It's time for a quick update. It feels like it's been a while since I've done this, and I love the fact that it's a Friday afternoon. Happy Friday. Whenever you're watching this, it's Friday somewhere or not. Um, I am excited about so many things that are happening right now, and I'm aware that the world feels probably more chaotic. You can probably see Crack Weasel's ears. He jumps up whenever I'm doing a video because he feels that he has lots of things to add, and I bet that he does. At any rate, think about the state of the world a lot, and I know that for many of us, it feels like such a chaotic, intense, destabilizing time because so many of the things that we have historically relied upon to create the foundations or the table legs, if you will, of life as we know it, the things that make life feel smooth, relatively certain, like everything's going to be okay if we stay in our groove. Many of those things have crumbled. And let me give you a rundown on this. I did a talk back in 2012 when I first moved back to my hometown of Boise from Austin, Texas. And I explored a lot of these things. And it's more true 11 years later than it was then, even. But if you think about what has historically provided a lot of stability in people's lives, at least in the modern world, we have government. So we have been able to rely for more than 200 years in the US and a lot of the democratic nations around the world on a form of government that, it's kind of like any sports game. As long as you agree upon the rules, then within those rules, you can scrum, you can fight, you can do all the things, but there are rules that govern the game. So government has been, for a lot of people, a really strong post, a table leg that holds everything stable. The other one for many people, and this goes back well beyond a couple hundred years, is religion. Religion provides meaningful ritual, it provides community, it provides a connection or a process of connecting with what lies outside of our own mind and ego. In the modern world, big business has formed a lot of stability for a lot of people, and that has crumbled more and more. But for a long time, that provided a stable work environment, stable income, the ability to be sure that you'd be provided for when you retire. Okay, and then the fourth estate, the press. People relied upon the press to keep up with what's going on in the world and to make them feel as if they were plugged in, were aware of the details, and mostly kind of staying in tune. Think about it now with me. All four of those major pillars in most people's lives have crumbled. Our trust in them has fallen apart for the most part. And so a lot of what we see right now is people scrambling for certainty in an uncertain world. It used to be if your job was terrible that week, and you got a notice from the IRS that bothered you, you could still go to church on Sunday and feel as if, okay, I'm tuning into something larger than myself, and I have this community of people, and I'm going to be okay. And I sometimes when I'm working with clients, they'll say everything's good in my life. I don't understand why I feel so anxious, so torn up. And sometimes I'll say, well, tell me about what's changed in the last 90 days or 6 months. And they'll go, well, I got a new job. It's a much better job. The pay is better. Benefits are better. I love the way I work in this new job. Okay, great. That's a big one. What else has changed? Oh, well, we just moved. We moved into a nicer house. We were able to sell the other one and move into a nicer house. So, everything's so positive. I don't know why I feel so disturbed, why I feel so anxious. I'm like, well, imagine a table that has, 4 legs, as most tables do. And let's just pretend that a job and your home, which if you look at Maslow's hierarchy, shelter is at the very basic level of human need and what we strive to make sure we have in place. So let's just look at your shelter and the way you earn an income. Both of those things have undergone change. If you look at some of the top stressors in life, moving from one house to the next and losing a job or changing jobs ranks very close to divorce or death of a loved one as far as being stressful. So even though these things are positive, it still represents a destabilization. Your sense of homeostasis gets rattled. All right. So, as we navigate a world in which many people are experiencing changes that don't feel positive, maybe they get laid off from a job and they don't know where their next job or paycheck is going to come from. Maybe their housing has gotten too expensive, and so they have to downsize or downgrade in some way. So that's just a couple of examples, but also the psychological sense of everything is going sideways when you scan your news feed every day and you see headline after headline after headline of, mass shootings, government corruption, global warming and distress all over the world with heat strokes and famine and all these things. Pretty soon, whether or not things are going pretty well in your own local life, things on the broader scale feel as if they're falling apart, which can lead to this sense of, I am really afraid. Oh, and then let's toss in something like AI, the rise of AI, which we've been expecting for a long time, but now it's here and now it's going to affect our daily lives. And there's a lot of fear out there. That's partly what I want to talk about in this update. The other thing I want to talk about, though, is the magic, the power of beginning to live into your potential, to explore, develop, and express your gifts. I don't know how many people I talk to frequently who feel as if I just knew what my purpose was, I would give myself to it. Then I would feel so much better, even if I, didn't have a bunch of money or didn't feel as if I were becoming famous or well known because of this. It wouldn't matter. I would feel as if I were living and my life mattered and I wasn't just going through the motions. So many people have that experience. Well, you know that I work a lot with the idea of creativity. The problem is for me, when I talk about creativity, it's so interesting. People who don't consider themselves to be creative will often make kind of a stinky face about it, like, oh yeah, creativity. Ugh. And, look, I don't care about the word so much. I care about the experience of it. Like, let's not get hung up on the semantics here. I don't care if you know what the definition of creativity is, or even if you identify as a creative person. What I do care about is that you're experiencing the energy of creativity, of being in creation, okay? And because I know that when you're creating things that matter to you, that gives a sense of purpose. And let's just take away this idea of there being one single sole purpose in your life. Like if I could just find my one thing, then I would do it and I would feel like I am on track, that I'm living, that I'm creating something that matters. I want to invite you to get rid of the idea of a purpose and say purposes. What are my life purposes? Well, right this minute, my life purpose, one of my life purposes, is to share with you things that matter to me via video. In a few minutes, one of my life purposes is going to be I'll get in my car and drive down to a local patio and hang out with my brother and listen to a dear friend of mine who's a musician. And my purpose in that moment is to be present and enjoy a summer evening, enjoy the connection with my brother, and support a friend of mine whose music I just love so much. Okay, so when you think about that, if you can become very present in whatever you're doing, you can infuse an activity with purpose. Having said that, though, what a lot of people mean when they say, if I could just find my purpose, what they often mean is if I could express, explore, develop some talent that I've never given space to in my life, that would matter to me. That would make me feel good. That would make me feel as if I'm not losing my way and overwhelmed in a world that is full of chaotic change and forces that I don't understand and things that are too big for me to do anything about. So what I want to suggest to you right now is that you can actually help to improve the world by stepping into, even in a small way. I don't really care about the size of the way you step into something. If you step into in a small way, exploring, developing, and expressing your talents, or you might say living into your potential, you will have a sense of well-being. and that is separate from your physical well-being, your financial well-being, many of the things going on in the world, your sense of the collective well-being. You can actually bring a powerful sense of well-being into your experience simply by beginning to live into your potential, by beginning to take the step forward out of the patterns, out of the ruts of living, and saying, I know that I want to explore, develop, and express this gift. All right. And, one thing I wanted to share with you was something that Seth Godin wrote in a book called Linchpin, Are You Indispensable? He says this, and it's so important. Again, I'm reading this out of Blessed Are the Weird. He said, when I wrote him and asked his permission to use this quotation in this book, Seth is so gracious, and he's such a supporter of fellow creatives. I just love that. He wrote me back, I think within 5 or 10 minutes, and said, of course you have my permission to use that quotation. So here it is. Art isn't only a painting. Art is anything that's creative, passionate, and personal. And great art resonates with the viewer, not only with the creator. Great art resonates with the viewer, not only the creator. What makes someone an artist? I don't think it has anything to do with a paintbrush. There are painters who follow the numbers or paint billboards or work in a small village in China painting reproductions. These folks, while swell people, aren't artists. On the other hand, Charlie Chaplin was an artist beyond a doubt. So is Jonathan Ive, who designed the iPod. You can be an artist who works with oil paints or marble, sure, but there are artists who work with numbers, business models, and customer conversations. Art is about intent and communication, not substances. An artist is someone who uses bravery, insight, creativity, and boldness to challenge the status quo. And art takes it personally. Art is a personal gift that changes the recipient. The medium doesn't matter, the intent does. Art is a personal act of courage, something one human does that creates change in another. I would love it if you would begin to, a little bit at a time, begin accepting that idea that your life can become art, and not just an area we might call artful. I'm talking about bringing art into your relationships, into the way you make your meals, into the way you work at your job, into every part of your life, into the way you take care of yourself and go inward and journal and meditate or do the things that really nourish and support you. Each one of these things can become an art. And I want you to understand that this is actually more important than your own individual life, even though that is priceless, that is irreplaceable and never to be repeated. You have never happened in the history of the world, and you will never happen again. You are your own unique perspective. And as such, even though you might feel like one tiny cell in the collective body of billions of cells, you will never be repeated. And here's what Joseph Campbell had to say. We're not on a journey to save the world, but to save ourselves. But in doing that, you save the world. The influence of a vital person vitalizes. And that is really at the core of what I have to say today, is that the influence of a vital person vitalizes. Which to me means if you are willing to step into the uncertainty, the awkwardness of developing a hidden talent or a dormant talent, something you know is in there, you long to express in some way. And like Seth Godin says, it does not have to be with marble or paint or words. It can be the way you create beautiful conversations and community within your customers, or the way you work with your team. You can bring art into all of that in ways that feel so deeply fulfilling that when you go to home at night and lie down and get ready to sleep, there's something inside that says, I am living this life. I am occupying this life. And when that happens, you become a more and more healthy cell in our collective body. So we don't need to save the world. We need to save ourselves. But as we're doing that, as Joseph Campbell says, we bring life into the world. We bring light into the world simply by doing that. In this world of rapid fame, the rise of TikTok within the last few years, and people who are now big stars and making millions of dollars on TikTok or Instagram or wherever we hear about these places, the news is full of people who have risen to prominence through some of these mediums, and it gives a false sense of how rapidly these things have to happen. Like, if you're worth anything, if you're good at anything, obviously you become famous, and along with fame comes money and cars and bottle service at the restaurants and all that stuff. I want to say to you that it doesn't matter whether you become famous or wealthy in the pursuit, in the development of your talents, of your gifts. And as a result of that, you turn down the dial on your personal suffering, the anxiety, that sense of longing and loneliness, and that itch that wakes you up at 3 a.m. that says, I'm not doing anything with my life that matters. A simple shift in perspective can help you become an artist in your life. And as you do that, you turn on and your posture changes. And the way you feel about yourself and your life changes. You no longer feel so helpless or overwhelmed by the forces that are existent in this world. And we will not pretend that they don't exist. They do exist. But as you go inward, as you do what you can within your own arm's reach, what happens is you become a healthy cell in the collective body. And when you become a healthy cell in the collective body, you naturally spread health to everyone and everything around you. And that's even without saying anything about it or telling them or teaching them or coaching them or fixing them. That's simply you being in your health. And we know this through biology. We know that a healthy cell in your physical body has much more power and energy than a diseased cell does. So if you want to rid yourself of disease, often what you need to do is simply make those healthy cells healthier, more vital, more alive. Drink water, take vitamins, exercise gently or vigorously. Those things will help you then, because those healthy cells actually, disease doesn't have a chance to live as easily if your body is full of healthy cells, vital cells, alive cells, right? And so I just want you to know that if you are concerned about the state of the world, or you see suffering and it bothers you, does me too, then you need to know that you can do something about it. And that is by coming inward and connecting with your own power as a creative. And I would love for you to begin to understand and see yourself as a true creative, because one of the simplest definitions of that word creativity is the process by which something rare, original, and valuable is formed. The process by which something rare, original, and valuable is formed. And I want to offer you this idea to internalize, and that is, you are your own most important and most exciting creative project. As you understand that you yourself, becoming who you are meant to be, becoming who you really are, and you'll get a sense of that, I am becoming who I'm meant to be and who I really am, as you press through the boundaries of anxiety or insecurity or fear that say, I can't do it, I'm not good enough, I don't have enough in me to make a difference. As you press through that static field and into the zone of uncertainty, which, by the way, uncertainty brings up anxiety, which is why more people don't step into who they really are, because it comes with anxiety. Uncertainty is part of the process of creating something rare, original, and valuable. If all you're doing is copying what's been done before, then you're not creating something that's truly creative. You're simply copying. Which brings me back to the AI thing. So I'm a writer, as you know, and so many people have fear that they will lose their jobs, lose their livelihoods, or perhaps the robots will take over the world and kill us all because of AI. But there's something that AI will never be able to do, and that is create something completely rare, original, and valuable. These large language models simply collate and curate and then produce sometimes extremely impressive bodies of work, but they're still drawing from everything that's already out there. Whereas you have the ability to create something truly unique with your life. But that's only if you're willing to take the step forward into your uniqueness. All right. So one of the things that I'm doing this year is hosting, producing, along with an amazing team, this transformational writing retreat in September. in Santa Fe. It's a place I love. I've worked there so many times before, and it is my tremendous pleasure to bring Anne Lamott and Julia Cameron and Sark and a couple of new ones I've never worked with before, Kyle Cease and Alex L. Beautiful, courageous healers, creatives, writers together into this writing retreat. And, I know that a lot of you watching this are going to say, I'm not a writer. And listen, I'm not pitching you on coming to my writing retreat, either in person or online. Either way is valid, because we're going to have a live stream ticket. Actually, we're selling a lot of those right now. So you can join us from anywhere in the world without paying for travel and all that stuff. But I'm not pitching you on necessarily joining us, but I do want to plant this seed in you to say that we are all writers. We all write emails and texts and social media posts and, all right? And I know that a couple of decades ago, the New York Times did a broad-based study and found that over 80% of Americans feel that they have a book in them, long to write a book about their experiences, about the insights they've gained from their life, or maybe they've come through trauma and they've healed from it, gone through transformation. They want to share something about their lives. And maybe it's not even a motive of becoming a best-selling famous author. They just know that transferring all of these experiences into the written word somehow creates gravity. It somehow leaves a record. It somehow helps them pay attention. And as Anais Nin said, we write to experience life twice. Once as it happens and another time in retrospect. And I totally messed that quote up. But you get the point. Writing as an act, whether it's in your journal or whether it's writing on a manuscript or other ways of writing, when it's self-reflective, when you're pondering your life, when you're remembering things, when you're bringing back the sensations and the ideas and the memories and the people, there's something really valuable that happens there. So if you know that one of your dormant talents or hidden talents, or maybe it isn't hidden, but you just want to develop it, is to write things, right? And let's just sweep the idea away that to write something, you need to be sure it's going to become a bestseller or become famous or validated in those ways. Let's just say, what if it matters that you develop a talent you know lies within you? So without any more ado, I'm going to add the clip that is our promo reel for this retreat so you can hear from Anne Lamott and Julia Cameron and all these beautiful creatives. I'm so excited about working with them. I'm so excited about the communities we're developing, and I'll tell you more about all of that. We have so many updates and upgrades and enhancements that are happening. I feel so grateful. It's been a couple of years of really difficult work and at times struggle, but it's all starting to come together. So I just want to thank you for being here. And as you've heard my words today, if you feel some little spark lighting up within you that says, yes, I am willing to take this step forward. I am willing to live into my potential, to explore and develop and then express my gifts in this life. I am a creative. I am committed to being a healthy cell in the collective body. Listen, if you and I relieve ourselves of the suffering, of the pain, of unlived potential, of unexpressed talent, if we do that, just you or just me, if I do that or you do that, we turn down the temperature of suffering in this world. And if you turn down the temperature of suffering in this world a little bit, and then that one over there does it, and that one over there does it, and that one over there does it, we begin to create this world that is more habitable for all of us. We begin to find creative solutions to the seemingly insurmountable problems that we all face. We begin to remember our connection to ourselves and to each other. We begin to find ways of being here together that are beautiful, that are artful, that are more fun, right? All right, so without further ado, here's Anne Lamott and our crew, and I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being someone who cares about the deep end of the pool and wants to see this world made better.
My name is Anne Lamott.
I'm Kyle Cease.
Alex L.
Julia Cameron.
Being a writer means that you're writing consistently, that you've stopped not writing, and that you've made a debt of honor with yourself so that you sit down every day and you get some of your work done.
Being a writer means storytelling and liberating ourselves as we heal.
I think a lot of people have misunderstandings about writing. They think it's difficult. They think it takes great discipline.
There's an infinite amount of content that's available for you in this moment.
I know it's my legacy work. I know that my truth matters.
The reason is because it shows up and it comes through me, just like your amazing creativity is trying to show up and come through you.
The act of doing it is what makes you a writer.
Helping others ground down into their truth and also give them voice to let them know that they are not alone in their struggles.
I teach people to write in a way that gives them pleasure.
A lot of times we try to egoically create and egoically write.
I know a good story when I hear one, and I have kind of a messianic complex where I want to share that with other people if I found it illuminating.
As a facilitator of writing, my favorite writing groups are the groups that I teach. They bring so many new perspectives and ideas, and they hold themselves and others accountable.
The challenges of being a writer is that it's really hard going, and that I'd much rather be doing almost anything on any given day.
We have a mythology that tells us there are only an elite few who can be writers.
And that's a pattern from your childhood that's trying to not have your parents abandon them trying to write, or someone that's trying to not get hurt trying to write.
I think it is radically beautiful that when we heal together, we heal each other. And through writing, we are doing some deep healing work.
There are a lot of tricks those of us who are serious writers know that help us keep our butt in the chair.
I think that all of us can write.
I really want to give people the encouragement to tell the stories that they remember or that they are creating with confidence and the understanding that we're all writing terrible first drafts.
Untether from things that do not belong to them. I hope to help writers unpack and unfold and find comfort in the truth of their lives.
And that if you just sit down and you commit a couple hours a day to doing it, something will happen. Magic will happen. Creation will happen.
And I'm so excited to play with you guys and laugh and help you tap into that.
I invite you to join me for 2023's Writing Room Retreat this September, the 22nd through the 24th.
And also to see all of the other amazing speakers.
To either an online or an in-person experience.
So I want to welcome you to join us at a writing room, a place for writers and for those who want to become writers.